Frank,
I'll send it. I'll put it in the group chat as well.
things that you're supposed to talk. Introduce yourself and.
Are you connected?
Oh, Glenn wants to come in.
1 second.
Yep, we'll be admitting people in just a minute. Start off with.
Okay, we're live. We can start. So, Frank,
All right,
you can start now.
beautiful.
Oh, where did Frank go?
No.
Frank?
Let me start admitting people. All right, I'm admitting everyone. All right. All right. Thank you, everyone who has come to tonight's session. We are just having a little technical difficulty. Just waiting on Frank. And then we're gonna get a little demonstration tonight.
Frank.
And folks, since we are recording the session, please keep in mind that if you do not want your camera or your face to be seen, please turn your camera off, as this is also going live streamed on Facebook through Kindling Sindaw's page, which you can watch at a later time once the session is over. Okay. And while we wait for our demonstration, my name is Jerome, everyone. I am one of your hosts for tonight. Yes, thank you, Vivian, for putting it into the chat. So Vivian and I are going to be your moderators for tonight's event. We put together a wonderful presentation as well with a great guest speaker. She's from the Philippines. And we hope you are all excited.
Better not this.
Okay, and we're ready, Frank.
Hello.
We're all set to go, Frank.
When we start.
We're starting.
You're starting now? So
yes.
Let me know when I do that 2 minutes. After the 2 minutes demonstration. After the 2 minutes demonstration, what happens?
Then you have a little speech to introduce yourself as well as describing what you were demonstrating, actually.
Okay. All right. After the 2 minutes demonstration, okay, around 2 minutes. Then I'll talk about what I did, and then I'll stop.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Can you let me know when do we start?
Yes, we're all good to go.
Ready to go?
Yes.
Plug that out.
Okay, ready.
Ready?
Ready, Paul.
Ready na? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, ready.
Great.
This is the replica of Philippine fish. I know that I have wrapped around here on the hand to the palm. This to prevent the weapon from coming out of the hand during striking maneuvers, parrying, and it holds it in place securely. So even if you're hit, it will not come out of the hole until your last breath. I'll take this out, and the Kris has a hook in the pommel to prevent it from sliding out. When you strike, you don't want it to slide out. You want it to be firmly in the hand. So whatever hand is used for grabbing and striking and pushing, you need to have both hands available. It is a close quarter weapon, and it's not like the European fencing where you're 13 far away. This is an ambush type weapon used mainly by the higher up. Not everybody has Kris. They're usually passed down from family as an heirloom. Anyway, one of the training blocks some basic cuts with the Kris. So I cut with both hands on some of them, so it gives an added power. This can be done by holding a double grip or holding here, this to give you added power. And the rest is either the weight of it, usually around 26, 27, maybe 28, but around the length is like that. Here you will see one with the scabbard here. This is one with the scabbard, which is one on the side, and the wearer carries it on the side and draws it. The scabbard can be used also as a shield. Okay, and basically the pilot can also be used to hit down to close quarter combat where you're grabbing and struggling. This is a point of impact. It is. What I demonstrated was vertical or diagonal cuts. Diagonal cuts, horizontal cuts. Thrust, center, thrust to the side, thrust to the front, overhand, double cut, spinning around, double cut. A defensive maneuver where the hand touches not the blade, but the side. The impact is here, and then it goes down and it's not here. The impact is here, not on the cutting angle, like this. And the angles get divided into the body parts. So here, some of the ideal targets, there are more. Here, to the heart, and the left. Another thing, I just showed it here, but sometimes they wear leather strap here, and another one here. Another one on the leg, in case you get stopped, your blood will not show up easily. It's like a tourniquet, basically. So that is the. I'm very fun, and I teach a fair bit of martial arts in the general East Coast area, and I founded the American County organization. And the system that I teach is Tirana Tirsia, which comes from, it's a subsystem that came from another school, but that's the one that I put together. And I teach modern applications of this weapon, which are used with stick. So every move that you make with the Kris is made with a stick, when you don't have a bladed weapon. We always treat the stick as if it was a weapon. All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Guru Frank.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Wonderful
Okay,
demonstration.
Oh, do you need to hear about the Campilan or not?
I think we will cover it later in the presentation.
Very well.
So we're okay for now.
Okay.
We're okay for now. Awesome.
Is there a continuation? When do we know?
So now we're gonna get started with the main presentation.
Okay. And around how long do you figure that I have before I can show anything else if I have to?
We will let you know. I think we have other, we have some videos in the presentation already, so I think no more demonstration for tonight.
Oh, okay. So then
Yep.
I'm out for that.
Yep, you're all good to go.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Frank.
All right, everyone. So I hope that you enjoyed our little martial arts demonstration given by our very own good old Frank Ortega, who's the martial arts choreographer for Kinding Sindaw. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Oh, hello, that is my face. I am being spotlighted. Hello, everyone. All right, I hope y'all are doing well today. It's a pandemic. I can't speak English properly anymore. My name is Jerome Valoria. I am one of the members of Kinding Sindaw, and I've been stepping up lately to help with a lot of program coordination with our racial justice workshops, with the Rinayung series, as well as upcoming performances. And all right, we're gonna get started with our little PowerPoint. So shout out to Vivian for designing this. So what's on the menu tonight, y'all? So aside from myself, Vivian is also one of my other moderators. If you want to introduce yourself real quick, Viv.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to go back to the past slide, but I'll figure that out in a little bit. I've been with Sindaw for a little over 5 years now. I started dancing, and now I'm helping in the midst of the pandemic and everything to put on events. So like these Zoom meetings, and also the dances that usually happens on Saturday and Sundays. So we're just trying to make sure that we stay connected with everyone. And thanks everyone for joining us tonight.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Viv. So on tonight's menu, I'm just gonna bring this back on my screen. So we've introduced ourselves to moderators. I want to give folks who are new to KS a little, brief intro to our mission. Shout out to our founders as well, and then we'll have Poetry do a land acknowledgement later on, and then we're gonna get right to it. So we're gonna give y'all some historical context, looking at the history, English is hard, of colonialism in the Philippines, the registration of land, the Mora pacification movement, Los Juramentados, and then the invention of the .45 caliber. Then we have our esteemed guest speaker, Nagusura Madale, who is a cultural anthropologist and is also Maranao as well. Then we're going to tie things into the current times with the continuous struggle of the Moro people. We'll have an open Q&A period, and then we'll have our closing statements. And then moving on to the next slide. So for those who aren't familiar, Ginding Sindaw is a New York City-based nonprofit dance theater company composed of indigenous tradition bearers, Filipino-American artists, and educators from all backgrounds, founded in 1992 by Pochi Ranka Manis. Ginding Sindaw exists to assert, preserve, reclaim, and recreate the traditions of dance, music, martial arts, storytelling, and orature of the indigenous peoples of Mindanao, Southern Philippines. And now we just want to give a quick thank you, shout out to our funders. So the Loida Nicholas Lewis and Reginald F. Lewis Foundation, La Mama Experimental Theater Club. We've been artists in residence there for quite a while. We also want to give a shout out to New York City Council, New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, the DCA, Dance NYC, New York FA, NYFA, and then Lotus Music and Dance Company. And now I'm going to turn this over to Potri to do a land acknowledgement.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. And as Moro and indigenous women from the Maranao people in the Philippines, we would like to bring into our consciousness that we here who is in the land called United States of America, which is originally called the Turtle Island, just like the Maranao who's coming from, which means people of the lake. So tonight we're going to do our land acknowledgement. This is the Native American nations and their traditional names. And so our work as Ginding Sindaw here cannot be detached from colonialism. The organizers of this workshop all live in what is now called New York and New Jersey. And we wish to acknowledge that as the traditional land of the Munsee and Lenape people, we honor the Lenape people, both past and present, and land itself, and the land itself with gratitude. Particularly in Queens, we are part of this land is part of the lineal Lenape. Since we are gathered virtually, and everyone here is calling in from different places, including Philippines, particularly the island of Mindanao, we ask that we research the original people of the land and where we live now, work, and play. It is a native-land.ca. And it is an ongoing project that maps out indigenous territories in North America, and you can start your research here. There's a map actually, and there's a link that you can download. And I would like also to acknowledge the land, Mindanao, where our speaker is coming from. And in 1898, we were included in the selling of Treaty of Paris, which we will hear later, to USA. And up to now, we are holding on to keep the land, and it's very much threatened. So here we'd like to remember the ancestors of the Munsee and the Lenni Lenape, and also the ancestors of the Maranao people and the Moro people and the Lumad people in the Philippines. We'd like to acknowledge and remember the ancestors of the past and the present. And thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Pochi, for that. Oh, I'm so sorry. There are fireworks that just went off if you hear any of that.
Unbelievable. What fireworks is in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I live near Coney Island. I'm sorry about that. But anywho's, so like Poetry said, I do want to mention to everyone a little bit about the history for today's event. So as Poetry mentioned before, we are currently on colonized land, and there was also the Spanish colonization of the Philippines. So on the left, you can see a map of the Philippines, and on the bottom right, that is where Mindanao is. So Mindanao is actually one of the 3 largest islands of the Philippines, and it's also the territory where a lot of Muslims live. During the 1500s, the Spaniards settled into most of the Philippines, everywhere north except for Mindanao. And that is what created the Moro Wars that lasted from the mid 1500s to late 1800s, so around 300 years or so. Even though the war, lasted 300 years, Spain was never able to conquer Mindanao, and Mindanao has been sovereign up until all that point. And there was only a small amount of ports that they were able to conquer at that time. So we're going to figure out why it, took them so long to try to conquer Mindanao. Why this war lasted 300 years. So in addition to the Spaniard colonization, like Potri said, in the Treaty of Paris, that actually gave the US a hold of the Philippines in addition to Mindanao, even though the Spaniards were never able to conquer them. It was just added on to the Treaty of Paris. So upon that, under US colonization, the Public Land Act number 926 and also the Land Registration Act number 496 were created so that people can register their land. In Mindanao, there's a lot of resources and such. So this obviously means that there's going to be a lot of land grabbing, and the Muslims who live in the population, it goes against their religion to actually register for these lands because they believe that it's a creation for everyone. It's not something that people possess to own. It's for the use of the whole community. So not only do these laws that were placed go against the religion, it's also the fact that the Spaniards never were able to colonize and conquer Mindanao, that now Mindanao is now part of the whole of Philippines, which creates a lot of issues. And then in addition to that, I will pass this along to Jerome.
All right, thank you for that, Viv. So let's talk about the Moro pacification movement. You notice that it took place from 1899 to 1913. So this is right after, Spain had ceded the Philippines to the U.S., and this is also ongoing during the Philippine-American War and even after the Philippine-American War, because it had ended just a few years after 1899, so like 1902, around that time. So here's some context for y'all. There was the Kiram Bates Treaty, which was written to give the Sulu Sultanate autonomy while the U.S. forces were addressing resistance efforts in the northern region of Luzon. And this is supposed to keep Moro folks out of the ongoing Philippine-American War. However, the U.S., like I said, they were continuing to suppress the resistance in Luzon. Several U.S. generals were taking governorship positions over the Mindanao region, specifically like in Sulu. And then it was revealed that, the U.S. wasn't really trying to give autonomy to the Sulu Sultanate. They filed claims saying that the Sultan didn't put enough effort in controlling Moro resistance to U.S. occupation. So while, these U.S. generals are taking governor positions over these different parts of Mindanao, the internal, Moro folks, they were allowed to have autonomy, but it didn't last that long. So the treaty was never intended to be ratified. it was only used as a tool to stall time before the U.S. decided to go after the Moro people. And now I want to move on to the next slide. All right, so who are los juramentados? So juramentados comes from the Spanish verb juramentar, or to take an oath. These are highly skilled Moro swordsmen who ran with the expectation that they were going to die in battle. They underwent lots and lots of extensive training to prepare themselves mentally and spiritually that, you know what, you're going to go into battle with your blades and whatnot, be prepared to die. And the attacking style is basically sort of like suicide. So regardless of what the outcome is, you're going to go in. If you die, you die. That's as simple as I can put it. And those juramentados, they had advanced tactical skills and land knowledge, which made it difficult for the Spanish as well as the U.S. And because they were so extensively trained, they were very difficult to stop, especially with the current firearms that the U.S. had. They didn't have the 45 yet, so I think they were using, if I remember correctly, the 38 rifle or pistol. That wasn't enough to stop them, but along came the 45. Okay, so let's talk.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry, Viv.
Oh, no, it's okay. So like Jerome was saying, before the 45 was invented, they were using the 38 automatic Colt pistol. So like I said, this war lasted for 300 years, and obviously the Spanish were doing something wrong in the 300 years that they were trying to conquer this land. And the only reason why they were able to even get it was because of the Treaty of Paris, which didn't even give the Moros, any agreement as to whether or not they wanted to be included with the rest of the Philippines. So because they were having such a hard time to even conquer Mindanao, and then there was another war with the Philippine-American War that lasted from 1899 to 1902. In those 3 years, they still weren't able to fight the Moros, and they realized that they needed stronger weapons to continue to try to conquer. So that was when the 45 automatic Colt pistol was invented. This became so popular that they eventually made 1.9 million of these guns and were distributed to Brazil, Canada, China, British Commonwealth, Mexico, and also the Soviet forces for them to use during World War II. So it's crazy that, the US tried so hard to try to obtain this land that a new weapon had to be made due to the failure of it all. So I definitely also want to bring attention to the Kris sword that we saw in Frank's demonstration, and also to introduce the ritual for it, and also Sagayan. So I'm just going to show this quick video. Just 1 second. I want to make sure that you guys are able to hear this. This video is also from our most recent production, Pananandam. Oops, sorry. 1 second.
5,000 na ginawa ko alumbay.
So now I'm going to introduce our speaker for tonight. Give me 1 second. Let me spotlight it on him. So this is our speaker, Nagasura Mandali. He is a retired professor, cultural anthropologist, Finnish folklore fellow. In addition to that, let me just pull up his bio. He has a specialization on peace education, nonviolence, and conflict resolution at the Mindanao State University, Marawi campus. He started his academic career as a classroom teacher, Bureau of Public Schools, Marawi City Schools divisions in the 60s. Afterwards, he joined Mindanao State University, Marawi campus in the 70s, and he became an instructor, or the first instructor to teach about Muslim history. He served as chairman, Department of History, and the first director of Southern Philippines Center for Peace Studies, who first introduced a 3-unit course on peace education. He has also served as vice chancellor for research and extensive during the term of the late MSUS President Emily Morohamsar. I'm so sorry, I feel like I pronounced that wrong. Also at MSU Marawi, and later as President for Research and Extension at Capital University, Cagayan de Oro City, after his retirement in the late 90s. He was a member of the Peace Education Commission, International Peace Research Association in 2000, and he also served as one of the members of the Peace Education Commission, IPRA, and later got a postdoctoral degree in Yugoslavia on peace and nonviolence. He was also a recipient of the Fulbright Foreign Scholar Grant in 2000 and a member of the Philippine American Educational Foundation Board Philippines for a period of time. Me 1 second. Can you unmute yourself? Oh, is he? Oh. Sorry guys, give us 1 second here.
Let's see.
Hi, Nagasura, can you please unmute yourself?
Hold on.
Mhm.
Professor Madale, could you unmute your microphone, please?
Okay.
Here we go.
We can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Shall I start now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm very thankful to Putri and all the others for giving me this opportunity to be part of the Rinayung series. The topic assigned to me is entitled The Essence of the Kris. I would like to define essence as virtue, or what we call the core. And if you look at the flyer, it talks about symbols of resistance, heroism, identity, faith, and sovereignty of the Moro people of Mindanao. Let's start with the word symbol. Contrary to the allegation that Kris is purely used for self-defense and for killing people, it is not correct because the Kris, before it is made, there is a series of rituals that has to be observed. And it is used as a weapon only to uphold what is right or righteousness, but never it should be abused. This hinges on the concept of Islam, which is Jihadul Asgar and Jihadul Akbar. Asgar means justified war, while Akbar is self-discipline. So you look at the Kris on two perspectives. One as a weapon to uphold righteousness. The other one is it is a piece of art which embodies occult motifs. Also, it has specific meanings and symbolism. So that is to explain the word symbol. Resistance is defined as self-defense or defiance. You are obliged as a Muslim to defend your faith if it is threatened. So that is the condition. If it is not threatened, then you are not obliged. That is called Jihadul Akbar, discipline. You only use force, which is called Jihadul Asgar, if your religion, your faith, and your identity is threatened. Now, heroism. The weapon is a sentinel. It is a witness to historical events that happened in the past up to the present. So it should be seen as a sentinel that talks about the heroism of the Moros. They did not abuse it. They were the one who were abused, misunderstood. So you use the term juramintados. That is not fitting as far as the Moros are concerned, because you only do Jihadul Asgar if your faith, Islam, and your people and your territory are all threatened. Identity. The identity refers to the image of the Moros. And that is that they are people who keep their faith, who only defend it if, if it is threatened. But if it is not threatened, and we talk of two kinds of domain, we call it the spiritual, which is not seen, but it exists, it is real, and we talk of the physical environment, the territory that is once upon a time called Minsupala, Mindanao, Sulu, and Palawan. In fact, the beginning of defiance and resistance started in 1896. The Treaty of Paris
which included the Mindanao, Sulu, and Palawan as part of the territories that was ceded by the Spaniards to the Americans. Now, the Moros in 1935 declared what is known as the Dansalan Declaration, where 100 datos, 30 sultans, signed the manifest that they do not want to become part of the Philippines. Unfortunately, it was not realized. And Amay Manabilang, who was one of the principal authors, became later on the best ally of Blackjack Persing. And Blackjack Persing is quoted as saying, "Give me 100 Moro warriors, and I will conquer the world." And here is something that he said about the mother-in-law. He said, and I quote, "Oh, how beautiful is Lake Lanao. How I wish my mother-in-law is here, and I will immerse her into the lake." That is not a good comment. Now, faith. You talk of faith, you talk of Islam. And when you talk of Islam, you talk of monotheism, the concept of Tawhid. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. He was not born, he did not beget, and contrary to the Christian doctrine of Trinity, there is no such thing as Trinity in Islam. And sovereignty refers to independence, and it is obligatory on the part of every Muslim to defend that independence. They were the one who were abused, and you talk of the Buddhato, Buddhaho, Budbagsak, and the Bayang battle in Lanao, which was defended by 600 Moro warriors, and the Americans, with the leadership of Pershing, assaulted the fortress, which is over 100 years old. And according to the American account, 400 Moros were massacred in that fortress, and only a child was saved from that encounter. And they sent a battalion, infantry, cavalry, they have a medical mission. In other words, it was a complete composition of armed people assaulting the Moros just because they do not want to become under the sovereignty of the Americans. People is the last component. It refers to the Bangsa Moro as it is used nowadays. But before, it was the word Moros was used because it has a historical precedence. The Spaniards had encountered with the Moroccans, they called Moros. So when they came to the Philippines, they discovered that there is a group of people who are also fighters, and they were called Moros because they were never called Moros before. They are called Muslimin, meaning one who believes in the oneness of God. Now, if you want me to proceed, I will go over to the second portion of this lecture, and that is how is the Kris forged. Number one, the blacksmith should be able to identify what is called dato aputao. Dato aputao refers to the chief of metals, which is the only kind of metal that is exclusively melted to create the Kris and the kampilan. And there are rituals that are observed. So even before the making of the kampilan and the Kris, there are strict rituals that are strictly to be observed because of the essence, the intrinsic value of the weapon, only to preserve what is right and righteousness. If it is not written, then you do not use it. So it becomes a piece of art. That is why here you can see this Kris, which is pusaka or heirloom of Bayalabi Princess Putri Rangkamanis, given to her by the father, who was the Sultan Agaos. Sultan Agaos literally means the Sultan who has means, wealthy, rich. You cannot be a Sultan or a Bayalabi if you are not rich, because you do not have resources to take care of your people. Okay. Now, you will find out that there are the sheet of the kampilan, this one, has decorations, but the blade, some of which has ochre motif that is etched on the blade. It is in the blade where you find these ochre motifs, which has specific meanings. Look at this head of the help. It looks like a bird, which is called nuri. And the nuri is a bird which in the legend, the Darangan, the epic of the Maranaos, is used, the function of which is to warn the people of any threat from outside. And it usually perches on the prow of the boat called Renamentaw Mapalaw. That is the mythical ship or boat of the people of Bambaran. So let us now move to Kris, which has this one. This is a diamond motif. This one is obid, which means or teali-tali, which means rope-like, and this scroll is called piako, meaning fern-like, and this is called keanoko, fingernails. So the kampilan, the Kris should be appreciated not only as a weapon, which is used only in case of emergency, in case of defense, but it is never abused. So you can see how beautiful, how artistic, how genius are the people who were responsible for making this piece of art. And this is the diamond motif, and this is the fingernail motif, This is the fern-like motif. And this is the tiali-tali or rope-like, which signifies one characteristic of Allah, which means infinity. Allah is infinite. So you express it also, it's in the kampilan. That is why the kampilan is both used as a weapon and as a piece of art. When not in use in defense, it is displayed. So you have two kinds of, okay, this one is the nuri. Okay, these are the kinds. Now, you see the curve, double bladed. It could represent the waves of the lake, or what we call the curve, or the detour in life, which means that life is full of curves as well as detours. But as you move on, the blade becomes straight. So symbolically, you start your life with problems, with troubles, and then you ended up in your straight journey to what is called Janatul Firdaus, which is the abode of the martyrs who died for the defense of Islam. They call it Sahid. What unfortunately the word used is Juramentados, which is not correct. The Moros did not invent the word. It was forced upon them. Now that they reacted, they are the one who are abused. Look at this, the sheet of the Kris. And this one also, you find the Piako and you find the Unsod, which is only visible in the sheet. But as you go to the blade, you find something else. Now this one here is like a flower. It is called obar, a flower motif. Now, let me look at this. This one, it is Pucho Rabong in Bahasa Indonesia, which is spoken in the Dunia Malayo Nusantara. Mindanao was once a part of the Dunia Malayo Nusantara.
Okay.
Because we were once, upon a time, a part of the Dunia Malayo Nusantara. It was the colonizers, the Europeans, who delineated the territories. The Americans, the French, the Dutch, the British, but though there was the delineation of the physical territories, the spiritual territory or domain of the Muslims can never be delineated because it is okay. So at a close range, and here we speak of social distancing, you can use this gunung because this is used only at a close range. In comparison with the Kampilan, can we show the Kampilan, please? The long one? Yes. The kampilan is used, you will call it social distancing, because you can use it only at a far distance. So the Muslims, the Moros, already knew what is social distancing. And it is used to cut, I'm sorry to say, the neck, the arm, or even the stomach or the diagonal position. And that is what the Americans feared, because the sharpness of a kampilan is tested by dropping a strand of hair. If you drop a strand of hair into the blade of the kampilan and the hair split, that means that your kampilan is sharp. And that is why in the encounter, the Americans will use their guns like this. But if they do that, the Moros will just slash them in a diagonal position, and the metal, the gun is split into two, and it goes directly into the body of the soldiers. And you can just imagine how terrible, how bad, how worse is that encounter. And this one is here is the nori. Here is the nori, and you have also the ubarobar flower, and you have all kinds of ochre motifs which you find in the hilt and in the sheath of a kampilan. Now, let me go to another topic. This is, the topic has something to do with the paradox, looking at the kampilan and the Kris both as a weapon and as an artwork. By the way, there is a kampilan, there is a Kris, which is considered ceremonial. It is displayed, it is carried during a coronation of a sultan or a bayalabi, but it is never used as a weapon. I'm sorry. I have running nose. So you have two kinds of Kris. One which is ceremonial, it is not used as a weapon. We do not have a picture of this. Danganan, which is elaborately decorated with ochre motifs, which is made from pure gold. The other kind is what you call weapon, and this is represented by the kampilan, the Kris, and the gunong. And you have also a Kris that appears to be for women, because it has the motif of a flower we call obar. Perhaps the blacksmith reflects the other sex, women, and you can consider the gunong as a child because it is small, it is always carried at the left side of the hips, that needs to be taken care of like a child. And you have other kinds of Kris, kampilan, and gunong, which Putri has a lot of these kinds of weapons. Now, the last part, I will talk about symbolism. It is very important again, it is very important to look at the Kampilan, the Kris, the Gunung, and everything on two perspectives. Number one is as a weapon, which has prerequisites based on Islamic tenets and injunctions, but it is never to be abused. And this starts from the time it is forged to the time that it is used as a weapon. The second perspective is as a piece of art. Where do we find these ochre motifs? We find it at the sheath, the scabbard of a kampilan, a gunong, or the Kris. And there are other ochre motifs, like I said before, the tree of life, which in the Malay word is called pucho rabung. It means a bushy fern. And this ochre motif symbolizes the tree of life. And according to the legend, when one dies, he is transformed into a bird. And that is why in this tree of life, you find a man and a bird on the branches of this tree. And that is, we ask the question, why do the blacksmiths etch this kind of motif into the blade of the Kris? Very simple explanation. To remind man or men that after death, there is a transformation from being human to a bird, which is called papanok sa aras, meaning birds of paradise. And the absolute ultimate abode is called Janatul Firdaus. It is the seventh heaven where martyrs, not juramentados, will finally reside because they fought in defense of Islam and in defense of what is right and in defense of what is righteous. Because you cannot fight if you are not disciplined. There is no such thing as you fight for no reason at all. There is always a reason. And that's why in the blade of the kampilan, some kampilans would have an Arabic inscription taken from Suratul Yasin. Some of these pieces, I found a specimen in the Anthropology Museum in DeKalb, Illinois, America. If you find a kampilan with an Arabic inscription, then it is surely considered as Islamic inspired, and the idea is it has an extra potency, agimat. So when you use it, it is sure to kill the person, not simply for the purpose of killing, but because you are obliged to uphold what is right and what is righteous. So let us now remove this idea of juramentados, of killing for the purpose of killing, because it is not the very reason. You see, in conflict, you have to look at two people. the people who are abusing and the people who are abused. People who are abusing have all the reasons, but when you look at the reasons, it is not anchored on faith. It is not anchored on divine law. It is not anchored on the holy book, but it is simply man imagination to expand its territory. And the Americans call it extraterritorial rights. Why do you have to defend America in Subic Bay when you can defend America right in America? Why do you have to have military bases all over the world? And why do you have to invent atomic bomb? Why do you have to do this and that? Simply because of greed, because of abuse of power, and because you think that you are the most powerful nation, people. But when it comes to a very simple virus like the COVID-19, there is no medicine found yet. And that is because man has abused, man has abused, Mother Nature has abused the responsibility given to him by God, which is called Khalifatul Allah, meaning the trustee. Now, so under all these different presidents from Quezon to Ramos to Marcos to Duterte and all the others, even the movie star became a president, there is a continuing struggle of the morals, precisely to uphold what is right and what is righteousness, because it is a religious obligation. So you look at the soldiers and the mujahid. The soldier took an oath to defend the country, but a Moro martyr is obliged to defend his faith. So if he dies, he is assured of Janatul Firdaus. If the soldier dies, you pity the wife because somebody else will marry the wife. So it is a paradox. And we should see and look at the Kris in terms of the essence, the virtue, and the core why it has to be created. I repeat, for defense, for defiance, for resistance, but it is also a symbol of power because a sultan can use his Kris as a dory. If there is a wedding and the groom does not have enough dory, the sultan can just remove his Kris and put it on the table, and that would settle the dory problem. Now, I am ready for questions if you do have some you would like to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Also, if you don't have any questions to ask, I also wanted to see what you all thought about if you've ever seen the Kris sword, how it's used in media, and maybe from what you've learned today, how you can help to preserve the history, and also what do you think is the right way to help preserve the history. So it's just a free for all for anyone who wants to speak right now.
You can unmute and you can share a sentence or two, and then our professor will wrap it up. Anyone in the group who would like to share what Vivian is asking?
Uh, I would like to, if possible.
Who's that? Please introduce
Frank.
yourself.
Guru Frank.
You can continue.
Okay. In teaching the martial arts, like in America, everything becomes commercialized or focused on violent use and for other means. My philosophy on that is that, as the professor mentioned, it's discipline and it has to be respected. The weapon has to be respected. And if you are into the martial arts and they are of the Philippines, you should learn something about the history, the culture, the people. But in the practice, it should always be stated about the weapon, what it is, what it means, what are some of the symbols. And also, there's a responsibility to anyone who teaches the martial arts. Like I know of instructors that teach the military how to use these types of weapons. But I have been offered many times and I decline. I teach it only for certain individuals and I teach it with the idea that they will hopefully learn and be responsible instructors to keep that tradition and defend the tradition of the Philippines and the martial arts of the Philippines, which is encompasses north and south, many islands, many types of bladed weapons. But in here, I'm referring to mainly the Campilan, the Kris, and other weapons as well. So just basic, I just want to say that they are good instructors, but sometimes they forget what the history and what it is, where it comes from, and what it means, and what it should mean in today's world. So, in keeping the tradition, I try to teach my students a little bit of what I know and responsible use, especially to the youth, for the children. Don't show just the violence part like that. Teach them the beauty of the discipline of the art. Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
you said it right. By the way, when you look deeper into the nature of man, man is composed of the physical entity which is capable of killing. The other component of the entity of man is the spirit. That is the peaceful aspect of man. So there should be a balance between the physical entity needs and the spiritual needs of individuals. And that is why when war becomes worse, man finally realized that the solution to conflict is peace itself, which is, by the way, one of the 99 beautiful names of Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace coming from Allah be with you. You do not give war. You only engage in war because you are threatened. If you are not threatened, then why declare war? For what purpose? No, it's simple as that. So we need to re-educate people because it is in the mind. It is in the mind that teaches people to become warlike or war freak. But it is also in the individual intrinsic, innate nature, by the way. I'm sorry, that he can engage in peace. So there are two ways of resolving war or conflict. One is the military, which is kill, kill, kill. So you can have peace. But the other way is called non-violence. Mahatma Gandhi used that concept. You do not need boundaries. You do not need to build fortress like the China Wall or the Berlin Wall. You only need to consider that your fellow man is another creation of God. And there is Islamic injunction. If you kill one person, as if you have killed the entire humanity. And if you give life to one human being, as if you have given life to the entire humanity. So what is your choice? The only problem is when you have martial arts, you only highlight weapons for killing, but you do not talk about the artistic value that is embedded in the Kampilan, in the Kris, in the Gonong, in the Danganan. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to spotlight over to Potri, just for a couple of announcements, and then she also wanted a picture. So if you all don't mind staying for that, and then sharing your video, we'll head into announcements first, and then do the picture. Thank you, everyone.
Can you have the photo first before your announcement?
Okay, that's fine. Let me just. Okay. I'll give everyone a couple of seconds to share their video. Whoever's comfortable, you don't have to share it. Okay. All right. So if that's all, folks, give me 1 second. All right. 1, 2, 3, smile. All right. Thank you all.
So Rinayung actually means the magical boat. The Professor Madali.
Potri, your.
What is going on? The professor said earlier.
Maybe have one. Okay.
I opened two because the other, I have to monitor the other gadget. I'm sorry. The Professor Madali actually said something about the magical boat. The mapantaw.
Pinamuntaw mapalaw.
Please unmute, sir. Yeah. So that is actually the name of Rinayong. Rinayong is a nickname, and it became a project of Kinding Sindaw. Since the lockdown, we were able to present. This is the eighth. I think this is the eighth series of the Rinayong, and because we are in a faraway land, and also Rinayong carries whatever you want to carry in that magical boat. It can shrink, it can expand, it can fly, it can go under the ocean. So that's what we are riding in that magical boat. And there will be two more series for October in relation to Filipino American Month. We will have October 10, which is featuring the Mount Budahu, Parang Sabil. We had off-Broadway reenactment of off-Broadway show of what happened in Mount Budaho in 1907. And that is, the title is Parang Sabil. So we will be discussing that together with Tausug scholars and artists. So that will be in October 10. And there will be one in October 24, which involves the native Americans who will be joining us in the discussion of what is the comparison of the savages, because, you know, that's the way we were called before. And we would like to deconstruct that and what is that today. And also the third one, which has no date yet, is the reading of the story of Fegan. Fegan is an African American soldier that was in the Philippines during the American occupation. And Steve DiCastro, I think his picture is like Steve DiCastro is here. Yeah, it is his play that we're going to read in to celebrate the month of the Filipino American. Like we're given that title for the month, so let's own it. So thank you very much. And Vivian, can you go on?
Oh yeah, I can go on. I guess just thank you to everyone. I know we ran
Unmute,
over
Vivian.
time. I am unmute.
Oh, I'm the one muted.
But I guess we can just close this off right now with salutations. Would you like to lead that poetry?
Yes. Shukran, Professor Madali. Thank you very much for joining us. So you have to stand by because you will be again speaking in this series of Rinayung in the near future. And you may have some more classes that you will be joining us. So hold on. We have so much to learn from Professor Madali. And I think we have some Mindanao State University attendee here. We have Sidik Ampanas, actually, who is one of your students. And we developed this salutation. So we will do it in honor of our ancestors who created and transmitted this tradition to us. With open hearts, we'd like to take them in mind, body, and soul. And with humility, we bow as you use it to empower us as you walk our path. And now, everyone, please unmute yourself and say something Maranao. Ay, Dodo!
No!
All right, everyone. Thank you. Have a good night.
I thought you will say